everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys for watching and for continuing to watch. Family, you already know the drill, right? Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to your Girl on Wheels and join the Girl on Wheels Society with me. So today, I'm talking about something that is very important. So if you're listening, listen extra hard because this is something that I am so passionate about. I think everyone right now is on their streaming devices watching a lot of Netflix and definitely taking social distancing to catch up on a lot of awesome shows like Mindhunter and Tiger King. Carol Baskin definitely killed her husband. But I'm not on here to talk about that. I'm actually talking about something so much more important and that I think should be watched and viewed and that everyone should just take the time to really discover this awesome documentary that came out, which is called Crip Camp. I love the name. It's what I am. I'm crippled. I am disabled. I am not afraid to say that. I am crippled by my disability. And a lot of people will be like, oh my god, why are they saying that? A lot of able bodies don't understand our lingo. I absolutely loved this documentary, and I wanted to talk a little bit about my own Crip Camp and also a little bit about the importance of this documentary on disability culture and disability education. We are a minority that is a huge minority and a lot of the times looked over. If you're not going through it, it's not going to matter to you. I loved that it portrayed real people living real lives of disability and showing it honestly and unapologetically, discussing these topics about how life sometimes sucks. We lose so many human rights because of having a disability, and we have to fight against a lot of the time. That discrimination against people with disabilities is a thing, and it is a thing that is very important to my heart to fight against and to speak against. You'll watch this and you'll grow to really like the people in this documentary, and they tell their stories and their life and how they grew up with disability and how a lot of people thought they were sick when they weren't sick. And they think that because you're disabled, that means you must be unwell. That's not the case. Disability is just a physical limitation. It does not mean that I'm sick. It does not mean that I am contagious. You ain't gonna touch me and then instantly have a wheelchair attached to your butt. That's not how that works. I did not roll out with a wheelchair already attached to me. That's also not how that works. So this documentary is about an awesome camp called Camp Jeanette that was basically run by a lot of hippies, which I wish I would have went to a camp like that, in the 70s. Basically the Crip Woodstock, which sounds pretty awesome to me. And they just decided to film their experiences at the camp, which led them to realizing that they all have a lot of injustices that are happening in life, which helped push a lot of them to go into disabled advocacy and fighting against disabled discrimination, which, I mean, awesome. One of the people that truly inspired me is Judith. She was the one that headed up this, and she was a spitfire fighting against the injustices of our community. And she, with a lot of amazing people, helped set a path. There's a lot of people in this documentary that I, of course, connected with because of their life story and their personality. And I mean, James is someone that I loved his story. He grew up with a family that gave him so much and loved him just the same, and pushed him to just be who he was. And though, yes, you can have a supportive family, you're going to have moments where you feel different from everyone else, and he had to really push harder to be an outgoing person. And to me, I think he was. In the film, I connected a lot with him because I felt the same feelings that he was saying in how he saw his camp. I actually went to a camp most of my life. Every summer, it was MDA camp, and it was the world to me. It was my favorite week of the year. I have so many amazing memories. I miss it so much. And for me, when I was at camp, I felt the most outgoing and the most in my element. Being around people who understand what I have, and then I can fully not have to be Ashley who's in a wheelchair, but just be Ashley. For that reason, I was very outgoing, and even out of camp, I was also very outgoing. I made sure to set myself apart. I mean, the wheelchair basically already does that, but I did that a lot in the things that I did, and the friends that I made sure I was out there. And that was always my motto, is if you can't stand up, stand out, and I definitely tried. Camp gives you a place where you can connect with people you wouldn't even think you would. That's what James said in this video. A lot of times people try to push away their disability because they want to fit in. And a lot of my time when I was younger, I would do that. I mean, to me, my life was my life. I was just Ashley in a wheelchair. Like, it wasn't a big deal to me. It's what I knew. But people I met, that was my intro. I can't. At first, it's weird. It's a weird feeling when you're surrounded by all of these people with all of these different abilities, and looking into your own mirror is hard at first. And I even had some struggles with that, because it's when you see it all like that, you realize, I am disabled. This is my life. I'm a part of this community, and it's not just something that I can push aside or hide. And it's hard seeing all these people in one place, and you realize how disabled you really are. And that may sound like a bad thing, but it's not. Because once you get over that, you also realize how strong you are, and how this community is built up with so many people who push through limitations and try to just be themselves. And it gives you this connection with people that is so much deeper than anything than friendship. They understand truly what you're going through. The NDA camp gave that to me. Watching this, a lot of the personalities reminded me so much of people that I knew and that I did know. One of them was Nancy, that had cerebral palsy. And Nancy, she reminded me of my friend Chelsea. She loved to laugh and she loved to talk just as much. She was such a spirited person, and I loved her so much. She passed, and I miss her. She was boy crazy and funny and just the best person. I mean, Steve Hoffman reminded me a lot of my good friend Chrissy, who, I love you, girl, miss you so much. Just get out there and show how sexy people with disabilities could really be. You are my inspiration on the daily. There's just so many people. I have a group of amazing friends, and Janine and Lexi, Sarah and Abby. So many people I could list. Not even them, but my boys, and Juan and Jose and Brett. Like, all of these people in my life that I've been so blessed to meet because of MDA camp, because of my own little Crip camp. I just really love this documentary. The atmosphere of that camp. Let everyone be heard. And that is what they did at Camp Jeanette. Not just at the camp, but outside of camp, which led to some pretty awesome movements and some pretty awesome things that happened. And for me, that camp atmosphere shows you what more life could be like, where everyone's just themselves and they're just their own personalities. And yeah, we're all different in different ways, all coming together to discuss and just feel normal. And that's the thing. Camp made it feel so normal. On that aspect, it really makes you love the people and their stories. And there's some awesome stories. So just for that alone, you should watch this film. But for me, the most important thing in this film was about all the stuff afterward. That Camp Jeanette started and was a homegrown of activists and people who wanted to fight against disability. Because once they were with each other, they realized all of these injustices and these things that in life that they are deprived of, realizing that they wanted to make a change. And a lot of people came together and were a part of these awesome movements. The ADA Act, which put into law that things needed to be accessible and reachable for people with disabilities, was a hard thing to gain. And in this documentary, it shows a little bit about that. During one of the protests, because of a law that was passed but wasn't being enforced, they did a sit-in at this government building. People who have catheters and who can't lay on their sides for more than 2 hours, who have to be rolled over constantly, which I do sometimes in the middle of the night. Things that, we already have limitations and things, and they are sitting in at this government building trying to make a change for people with disabilities. The things that they did to help secure just the start of a movement that is still being fought for today is just inspiring to me. This is one of the first times on a major platform our stories are being shown. There's not a lot of places or documentaries that feature disabled lives and also the historic movements in the disability community that haven't been highlighted. And finally, it's on Netflix, one of the biggest streaming sites ever. When I saw that, I was so happy, so inspired by this movie, and it just gives me chills now just thinking about how far we have come to crawling on the steps in front of a government building. We gotta be willing to shut down a city block to fight for what we believe in so that we aren't shut-ins and shut-outs because the world wants to make us that. So during the process of this video, as we all know, there is a lot that has happened in our world with the injustice that sees all hate and recognizes all discriminations, with the death of George Floyd and the systematic violence that is happening in our country, racially and unjustly, and so many people who are hurting because of the unfairness and hate of racism and discrimination and just prejudice of all kind. Because when someone says, "I can't breathe," that should be enough. So that sleeping in your car and in your bed would never be a death sentence. And when you say, "I can't breathe," people allow you to take a breath. Things like that. Things like kids being held in cages. None of that is right. I will always stand with what is right. And this is not. That's why these things are so important to fight against, because hate sees all injustices. I will never say I understand. I will never understand. But I know what it is like to be treated differently and to feel people are stereotyping you because of who you are and treating you that way because they think you are not normal, because the society says you're not normal. When you are, and everyone should be given the civil right to live and thrive and breathe when they need to. Because justice for one should be justice for all. And it's really sad that in this world that we are having to still fight against that. That we have to still block streets and shut down city blocks to let our voices be heard. Crawling on those Capitol steps as we once did before. I am no near a political page and platform, and I am not going to tell you that I know everything, because I don't. This is just my beliefs and my ideas, that we all should be treated fairly. So I do stand with you, and I will always stand for these injustices that affect so many people. As long as things are not equal for all people, then we will fight against these injustices. And I am so sorry if you've ever experienced feeling of discrimination or stereotyped or treated differently just because of who you are. I am so sorry, and it should never be that way.